Hello everyone, welcome back to the PulmoCare ICU series. I am Dr. Kalim Khan. In the previous chapter, we discussed the indications and contraindications of mechanical ventilation. We learned when a patient may require ventilatory support and when we should consider alternative approaches. Now that we know when to start mechanical ventilation, our next question is, what exactly are we connecting to the patient? In today's chapter, we will understand the basic components of a mechanical ventilator and the breathing circuit. This is an important chapter because before changing ventilator settings or managing ventilator alarms, you should know how the ventilator and its circuit actually work. So let's start from the beginning. A mechanical ventilator is not simply a machine that pushes air into the lungs. It is a sophisticated system that receives gases, controls their flow and pressure, delivers them to the patient. The exhaled gas is received and continuously monitored during each breath. For simplicity, the system has four parts: the gas supply, the ventilator, the breathing circuit, and the patient airway. Let's understand each of them one by one. First is the gas supply. Most ICU ventilators receive two major gases, medical air and oxygen. These gases usually come from the hospital central pipeline system. Backup cylinders may also be available. The ventilator mixes these gases according to the selected FiO2 and delivers the required gas mixture to the patient. Therefore, before starting ventilation, always make sure that the oxygen and air supply are properly connected and functioning. An interruption in gas supply can become a life-threatening emergency in a mechanically ventilated patient. Now let's come to the ventilator itself. Modern ventilators contain electronic and pneumatic systems that control the delivery of each breath. We select parameters such as the ventilator mode, tidal volume or pressure target, respiratory rate, FiO2, PEEP, inspiratory time, and trigger settings. Each choice is critical for patient care. The ventilator uses these settings to generate and control the patient's breaths. Inside the ventilator, sensors continuously measure pressure, flow, and volume. This information is used by the ventilator to control the breath and detect abnormalities. So remember, the ventilator is not only delivering breaths, it is continuously measuring and responding to the patient's respiratory system. Now let's follow the gas from the ventilator toward the patient. The first part of the breathing circuit is the inspiratory limb. During inspiration, gas travels from the ventilator through the inspiratory limb toward the patient. Depending on the circuit configuration, components such as a humidifier and filter may be present along this pathway. The inspiratory limb should remain patent and free from kinks, obstruction, or accidental disconnection. Any significant obstruction can increase resistance and interfere with delivery of the intended breath. Now we come to an extremely important component, humidification. Normally, the nose and upper airway warm, filter, and humidify the air that we breathe. But when we place an endotracheal tube, we bypass this natural conditioning system. Therefore, during invasive mechanical ventilation, appropriate humidification is required. The two commonly used approaches are active humidification and passive humidification using a heat and moisture exchanger, or HME. A heated humidifier actively adds heat and moisture to the inspired gas. An HME captures heat and moisture from exhaled gas and returns part of it during the next inspiration. The choice between these systems depends on the clinical situation, secretion burden, temperature, type of ventilation, and local ICU practice. Another important component is the filter. Filters can reduce contamination of the ventilator and circuit and may provide protection against microorganisms and particulate matter depending on the type and location of the filter. However, a filter can become wet or obstructed because of secretions or condensation. A blocked filter increases resistance and may contribute to increased airway pressures. Therefore, filters should be checked regularly and replaced according to the manufacturer's instructions and ICU protocol. Next is the Y-piece. The inspiratory and expiratory limbs meet at the Y-piece, which connects the breathing circuit to the patient's airway. During inspiration, gas travels through the inspiratory limb and enters the airway. During expiration, exhaled gas returns through the expiratory limb. Because the Y-piece is close to the patient, accidental disconnection at this point can cause an immediate loss of ventilation. After the patient completes inspiration, exhaled gas travels through the expiratory limb back toward the ventilator. The ventilator measures the exhaled flow and volume and uses these measurements for monitoring and control. So the expiratory limb is not simply a tube carrying gas away. It is an important part of the ventilator's monitoring system. Now let's discuss the expiratory valve. The expiratory valve controls the release of gas during airway pressure. This becomes particularly important when we apply PEEP, or positive end expiratory pressure. PEEP prevents airway pressure from simply returning to atmospheric pressure at the end of expiration. The ventilator uses its expiratory control system to maintain the desired level of PEEP. Therefore, problems with the expiratory valve or circuit can affect both ventilation and PEEP. One common problem in mechanically ventilated patients is condensation inside the breathing circuit. When warm humidified gas passes through a cooler circuit, water may condense inside the tubing. Excessive condensation can interfere with circuit function and may increase the risk of obstruction or contamination. Circuit condensate must be handled carefully according to ICU infection control protocols and the manufacturer's recommendations. Never allow accumulated water to drain toward the patient's airway. Now imagine that one of the circuit connections becomes loose. The ventilator may continue delivering a breath, but some of that gas escapes instead of reaching the patient. This reduces the tidal volume. The result may be a low pressure alarm, low delivered tidal volume, inadequate ventilation, or difficulty maintaining PEEP. Therefore, whenever there is an unexpected change in ventilator parameters, always inspect the circuit. Check the endotracheal tube connection, Y-piece, inspiratory limb, expiratory limb, humidifier filters, and other connections. This brings us to a very important ICU principle. Never ignore a ventilator alarm. But also, never assume that the ventilator itself is the problem. When an alarm occurs, first look at the patient. Is the patient conscious? Is the chest moving? Is the oxygen saturation adequate? Check the airway. Is the endotracheal tube patent? Is there a secretion blockage? Next, check the circuit for disconnection, obstruction, or leak. Only after assessing the patient, airway, and circuit should you focus on the ventilator itself. A simple approach to remember is patient, airway, circuit, ventilator. Let's now visualize the complete pathway. Gas enters the ventilator from the oxygen and air sources. The ventilator mixes and controls the gases according to the selected settings. During inspiration, gas travels through the inspiratory limb, passes through the humidification and filtration system when present, reaches the Y-piece, and enters the patient's airway. During expiration, gas travels from the patient through the Y-piece and expiratory limb, passes through the expiratory control system, and returns toward the ventilator. Throughout this process, the ventilator continuously measures pressure, flow, and volume. This is the basic architecture of a modern mechanical ventilation system. Before we finish today's lecture, let me give you some important practical pearls. First, always check the ventilator and circuit before connecting the patient. A kinked circuit or blocked filter can increase resistance and cause high pressure alarms. A circuit disconnection or significant leak can cause low pressure or low volume alarms. Excessive condensation should be managed appropriately and safely. Whenever a ventilator alarm occurs, assess the patient first. And finally, always remember that different ventilators and circuits have manufacturer-specific designs. Familiarize yourself with the equipment used in your ICU. Let's quickly revise today's chapter. The major components of a mechanical ventilation system include the gas supply, ventilator control system, inspiratory limb, humidification system, filters when used, Y-piece, expiratory limb, and expiratory valve. The inspiratory limb carries gas toward the patient, while the expiratory limb carries exhaled gas back toward the ventilator. Humidification is essential during invasive ventilation because the endotracheal tube bypasses the natural upper airway. The expiratory system plays an important role in controlling exhalation and maintaining PEEP. And whenever an alarm occurs, remember our simple sequence: patient, airway, circuit, ventilator. So, in today's chapter, we learned how the ventilator and breathing circuit work together to deliver and monitor mechanical breaths. Understanding these components will make it much easier to troubleshoot ventilator problems and interpret alarms in the ICU. In the next chapter, we will move from the machine to the patient and discuss airway management and endotracheal intubation. We will cover airway assessment, preparation, essential equipment, intubation, confirmation of tube placement, and important complications. If you are following the PulmoCare ICU series from the beginning, continue with each chapter because every topic is designed to build on the previous one. Thank you for attending today's lecture. I am Dr. Kalim Khan. If you found this session useful, please like the video, subscribe to the PulmoCare channel, and share it with your colleagues, and I will see you in the next chapter.